time to unpack the big topics of the day. We've got Chelsea Daniels from the Front Page, podcast host, and Simon Bridges, Auckland Business Chambers CEO. Thanks very much for being with us, guys. Simon, I just want to ask you about, yesterday we had this big announcement. Yep. The government said that there is 49,000 fewer victims of violent crime. It was a big deal. What I thought was interesting about it is that it was essentially a police and justice announcement, but front and centre was Prime Minister Christopher Luxon. Is this like a clear signal at least that the election campaign is well underway?
Oh, definitely. I think I mean, it's a bit of a trite truism, isn't it? But these things start earlier and earlier. I mean, I think we're into it from kind of mid-January. Prime Minister had his State of the Nation speech, and I think it's been all go since then. I mean, I think you're right, and I think Prime Minister Luxon is definitely, I was going to say a ministerial Prime Minister, but he's some would be more scrappy. That's not his style. I think he's there on the big things and probably and understandably the positive things. And we were just talking off air, if you think about the things that National is trusted on over other parties, it is law and order, it is the economy. And so to be there announcing some good figures, that's a prime ministerial thing to do, and they would see it that way. Yeah,
of course. So, I mean, given your background and what you just said about, law and order, economy does seem to be the central planks of National, always has been. So is that essentially going to be their brand this election?
I think they're going to be part of it.
Push announcements on that as
much
as
but
possible.
Of course they'll also be wanting to round it out by, ones where perhaps traditionally Labour's been stronger or perceived as stronger, the social sector stuff like health and education. It's not as if they're going to give those away. They'll be pushing announcements and so on. But I think, to your point, it is a good point. Probably you won't see the Prime Minister in those things so much because maybe they're seen as, less on brand, less equity for the National Party. And, if you think about crime, I think broadly speaking, and genuinely behind closed doors, law and order will be one they're not worried about. They'd say, actually we have done a good job there. We've banned the gang patches, but I know, we've seen gang numbers actually go up, but they are less visible. They've just done the move on orders. That was another one where, they would sort of say that's a positive in a net sense for them.
Yeah, right. So Chelsea, just on that, the figures from the Police Minister's office amid this crime stats being celebrated shows that actually there's more gang members in New Zealand right now than there are police officers. Is that problematic?
With these things, right, I'm always asking the questions whether there are actually more numbers or whether we're getting better at reporting the numbers, right? But are they more visible because police are on the lookout for gang patches and associations and associates because of the gang patch bans? So I'm always really dubious when it comes to these kind of numbers. And also the fact that I don't think every gang member in this country is selling meth or stabbing people or creating violence, you know what I mean? So it's like, yes, there are a large number in proportion to police, but also is that everyone? Is that everyone with a criminal record? Or is that the whānau of those? Or is it the whole community? Because not every gang member is a bad person.
And in the end, even if gangs are less visible because there's been a gang patch ban, and do I say that right? Yeah. I agree with that, by the way. It doesn't mean they go away, right? So I still think it's an area where, taking Chelsea's point, nevertheless, the government will want to, and police will want to keep disrupting and harassing and finding ways to, get over the gang issues and the drugs being sold and the violence and so on.
Yeah, the gangs are always sort of peddled out again around election times because it seems to be, showing that the government's doing something right. But the core issue here, isn't it, is while we've got this tough on crime announcement from the government and they purport to be doing very well at the moment, we still have vast amounts of methamphetamine and obviously an international crime syndicates who are very, very focused on New Zealand. Isn't that Absolutely. The core problem?
And taking Chelsea's point, not every last gang member or associate is in on this. What is true is organised crime and gangs, are the purveyors of this. As you say, what's really worrying in New Zealand, and globally, is it's just got a lot more sophisticated. It's a lot more international. I mean, you get Jared Savage on here. He's outstanding on all this stuff, right? But I mean, we're talking about gangs from Brazil and Japan and Asia and America
Mexico and China.
I mean, it's mind-boggling what's going on. And what I'd say about crime is, I think there's two things that worry New Zealand. I think that gang organised crime stuff is absolutely still there. And the government is right to be focusing on that. The other one, though, I think we see in Auckland and more in the CBD where we are right now, it's more at that level of, I don't want to say low level, because it's not necessarily always, but low level, antisocial, disruptive sort of crime that's corrosive of trust and kind of a sense of safety. And government needs to be very focused on that, I think, as well.
Yeah, Chelsea, so let's just go to Air New Zealand and that massive loss it posted. Is it time to sell up?
Well, here's the thing. Initially, you'd be like, absolutely. Obviously, it's not doing as well. You look across at Australia, you look at Qantas and how well they're doing post-COVID. So, I mean, you cannot use the C word anymore when it comes to these kind of figures, right? You cannot blame COVID anymore. I'm over it. But in terms of Air New Zealand, it's our national carrier. Some would say that it is a strategic asset, and we've bailed them out before as well. So it's kind of that chicken and egg thing. It's like, well, do you take away, if a trapeze artist is doing something risky on the swinging poles, do you take away the safety net so they become less risky? But the trapeze artist always knows that you're going to put back the net, the safety net. So it's like, well, do we pull out of Air New Zealand? But at the back of their mind, they're always going to be like, well, they're going to bail us out anyway. We may as well spend that money on the paper cups and the offsetting carbon emissions because they're going to do it anyway.
What do you think, Simon? I mean, one of the key things is that it's just so bloody expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, are we going to see prices, go up, or what's the problem?
Well, we all hope not. I mean, I think COVID, but I accept your point, and then, economy, it has been a rough period for airlines and, and for Air New Zealand. I personally have an underlying confidence. I back Nicol Ravishankar. I think he's the right guy. I think, there's a sense that as they get planes and engines back and they're able to open up new routes, things will get much better. In the end, what worries me or motivates me, and that's why I kind of like sell or not sell, I'm not sure. The fundamental issues are I do think we need a national carrier. I think, tourism is such a big part of our economy and so on. That's very important. And secondly, we need it to stay world class. I sort of get worried that it's going to end up as this kind of just another kind of crappy domestic carrier if we're not careful. So whether that's with government ownership or not, or whether selling down and putting that money back into the airline to kind of recapitalise and get it going and get rid of the trapeze safety net, I could go either way, but I'm worried. National carrier that's world class. It has been in the past. I kind of think it still is. Oh. But I'm trying to be generous here.
You don't think
so? You have to pay like $20 for the luxury of watching a movie at the back of the seat on a screen that's already in front of you.
I mean,
I've
just been on Ryanair in Europe.
The
seat isn't even flat. It's kind of like this.
Ryanair's next level.
They're plastic so they can wipe off the puke. You know what I mean? There is no. I think they were even talking about having standing seats. So I suppose it's all relative, is what I'm saying.
But I'd stand if it was a lot cheaper.
Well,
and I do fly
You're a tall, handsome guy. I mean, I'm not. I'm just saying you'd be okay. I would not stand.
Yeah,
you're like my dad. Like, if he could save $50 by diverting me through Dubai to get to Adelaide, he would do it.
98 hours later.
No, but I do go online and I look at the Air New Zealand price and then I bring up Jetstar on the other screen. I just do it all the time, and unfortunately, I go to old Jetstar quite a bit.
In New Zealand, it's astronomically expensive, I think, and especially post C word as well. Like, it hasn't gone back.
Yeah,
it hasn't gone. It hasn't gone back to pre-COVID levels. Can you?
But yeah.
But in terms of like the pricing and everything, so you've got to pay extra for extra baggage, right? That's okay. Extra for the entertainment, okay, that's right. Extra for a meal, and then they have the audacity to ask you if you want to be a good citizen, and offset your carbon credits and pay extra as well on top of that. So no, that sends me into all
look, I hear all that. I feel like I'm defender in chief of them. It has been a tough time.
You are,
they haven't had engines, right? I mean, they've just these basic things. So, for example, if you are, I know this is first world kind of problems, maybe it doesn't sound so good on TV, but, if you are going to Europe, well, you can't even fly Air New Zealand anymore, right? So and we want them to get back into that route and a bunch of other ones. So I just think it requires a plan, it requires some confidence. I think they will come back. You raise valid points around the prices and, all of those sort of things, but if they get the business back on top, I've got an underlying confidence and belief in Air New Zealand and the All Blacks and Fonterra and all of these things.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, just before we go, guys, the Manu World Champs here in Auckland. Is this good for? Is it good for New Zealand, Simon?
Outstanding. I just want to. Is it down at Brownie's Pool or where are they doing this? Do we have a sense?
Auckland Viaduct Harbour, 14th of March.
It's a massive
14th
event.
of March, which is 14th of March.
Yeah.
Oh, so we way away. Okay,
Yeah,
it's not
yeah,
this
yeah.
weekend. I was like, I have a free Saturday. I might be there.
Are you going to go?
I'd like to go. My children
do
would
many
love
Manus?
this.
Have you done a Manu before?
Yeah, I've attempted, but actually what I've realised is it's quite a technical...
You're not very good at it?
No, there's quite a lot of... I mean, I'm not a small guy, but I'm not a really big guy. I think you need some heft. And then there's quite a lot of technique. You've got to sort of do this...
Flick.
Yeah, I don't
How does it go? Yeah.
Yeah, go on, show me. I have never seen one before.
That will be
Chelsea, done
That
many
will be
Manu.
like a meme.
Did you do any Manus over summer?
I've learnt what it was like this morning.
You're so out of touch.
I know.
It was me talking about flights to Europe, but you don't even know what a Manu is.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Okay, guys,
yeah.
we've got to leave it there, but thank you very much for joining us this morning. And that is Chelsea Daniels from the Front Page podcast and Simon Bridges, Auckland Business Chamber CEO.